Hello SLAPAFISH community, welcome back to another World Tanks console video. So in this video, I'm going to be driving the Object 263, which is a tier 10 Soviet tank destroyer. And it's also on track this week. And it also got buffed. Well, the entire line got buffed. Which the 263 only got a, what is that called? A yaw limit buff. The yaw limit went from 7 left to 7 right to 12 left to 12 right. So it got from 14 to 24 traverse of its gun, so it pretty much almost doubled in how much the gun can traverse. So let's just go over the equipment and crew skills I have on the 263. I'm also going to tell you, I'm going to have 3 replays in this tank. 2 are very short and 1's a decently long match. And you're going to notice something in each and every single one, okay? So, the events, I have the advanced loader, advanced gunling drive, advanced powertrain, and enhanced target info. My skills are born leader, rapid loading, off-road driving, comms technician, situational awareness, sixth sense, marked target, controlled impact, and green thumb. Now, I think I wanted to talk about the 263. So, the 263, it got a yaw limit buff. It has been buffed twice this year. And both times, it never got buffed in the way it should have. Let me explain on that. It should have gotten armor buffed. Okay? In my opinion, this is the worst tier 10 Soviet tank destroyer. It possibly is the worst tier 10 tank destroyer in the game. So this is supposed to be like an assault tank destroyer that has high DPM, and it's supposed to be a pretty fast tank destroyer. And yes, it has a weak point, which has a massive weak point as the lower plate. Now the lower plate is 150 millimeters of thickness, which only gives you about 180 millimeters effective armor. So yeah. And everything else on the front is 250 millimeters thick. Sounds really nice. Like the upper plate is really angled, so it gives you 443 millimeters of effective armor. Now you move right beside the gun. It gets weaker. It's 347 millimeters. Like premium rounds can go through that. Like high penetration premium rounds can go through that. But you just angle the armor, and it goes to up to like 360, 370. And if you angle it perfectly, it's like 370. Now, let's talk about the gun mantlet. Gun mantlet is actually 3 of the weak points on this tank. Now, the lower plate is supposed to be like a giant weak point on this tank, and that's how you're supposed to play the tank. You're supposed to play the tank you're supposed to angle it and hide your lower plate, so you can use the rest of your armor. Now, if you notice that E4 pinned my gun mantlet. Now, the gun mantlet is actually a weak point on this tank, which it should never be a weak point on this tank. The gun mantlet is 250 millimeters of space. Well, it's 250 millimeters of armor. It does have some space armor, but the effective armor right there is about 269, 270. That's it. And you can't angle that. Yeah, you can't angle that piece of armor. Because it's your gun, and when you're fighting somebody, you're just going to be looking straight at somebody. And you can't. That's the part that should have got buffed. It should have got buffed. Because that's the weak point. Like, what's the point of having a very massive weak point as your lower plate and being skillful enough to hiding that lower plate just for people to go through your gun mantlet? And I haven't even talked about the other weak point. Now, the other weak point is right below the gun, and it's a flat part of the armor right below the gun. It stretches all the way from the left to the right of the tank. It's 250 millimeters of thickness, but it is purely flat. So if somebody hits it, they're going to go through it. They only need 250 millimeters of penetration. Premium rounds easily go through it. But, let you know, it is pretty small. But it does extend the frontal part of the tank. The gun spot is, like, the gun mantle is the spot that's, like, why? Why is that a weak point? Like, this tank, you're supposed to go up. You're supposed to be fighting the fight lines with this 263, ripping tanks apart with your 3,000 DPM. And to do really good in this tank to block shots is to hide your lower plate and angle your armor. That's how you play this tank. And even if you angle your armor, you still have your weak point of your gun mantlet. Like, the gun mantlet should have got buffed. Like, really, honestly. So, if you notice, last game we barely bounced anything. I think we only bounced 1,200, which is pretty decently. So far, we bounced 390 in this game. But I can tell you, this is the short game. This one lasts about 3 minutes long. And we just happened to dodge a shot from the 60 TP, which is pretty lucky. And here's a Vanguard. Now this Vanguard pinned me. Fun fact, it pinned me. Where did it pin me? I don't actually know. It pinned me again. That one I was sort of angled on the side. That's a Vanguard. Vanguard's not known for good penetration. It did get hit by a 4005. Got pinned in the front by a 30B. And yeah, this is where the tank just fails. People load premium rounds and your armor just gonna fail. It really is. And goodbye tank. I'm dead. Only bounced 390 damage. I managed to deal 3,200. So, yeah. So this one is Fisherman's Bay. And I'm going to go to the town and try to angle my armor, try to hide the lower plate, and do the best I can for people not to shoot my gun mantlet. It's like the Panzer 7, the VK7201K. Like, the weak point of those tanks is the gun mantlet. No matter what you do, you can't hide that weak point. And luckily for you, I get to show off that weak point because I'll be fighting a VK7201K, and I'll shoot it once in that spot because that's the only shot I'll get off. So, yeah, I mean, the yaw limit actually is it's good when this tank is side scraping. Like, the yaw limit feels nice when this tank is side scraping against a wall, stuff like that. That's where the yaw limit feels really nice. Like, from 7 to 12. It feels really nice. So, yeah. But it still needed an armor buff. What is the gun depression of this tank? It is 4 degrees. Which is, Also, here's a Type 5. Yeah, it's a Type 5. It just been a Type 5 pushing me out of the way. While I'm side scraping, I shoot him. And guess what? He's going to say, great shot. I'm like, dude, why? I was side scraping. And you're like, nah. I'm just going to plow right through you. That's cool. Anyway. So I'm going to use my speed of, like, how fast does this thing go? It goes 57.75 and has a decent horsepower per ton at 17.5. So it has really good mobility, but also is really good at ramming. Now there's a VK7201K. I'll let you know right now. He pinned us in the lower spot, the lower plate, which is not a big deal because that is the actual weak point, and that is my fault for not hiding it. He kind of just snuck it into me. And right here, just like 4 tanks and just, Also, I do want to mention that I was pushing that E5. Like, I was against that wall and I just pushed the E5. Like, I didn't know this tank had that much horsepower. Also, there's that weak point of the VK7201K I was talking about. Just shoot it in the gun mantlet and it just gets pinned. And yeah. So what else? Well, I did want to talk a little about this gameplay. If you noticed, we pushed through the team. We pushed through the enemy team. The other team won the other fight, the other side, and I'm like, okay. There is no way they don't still have tanks over there in A1, A2. Like, that's a really good spot. There's a chieftain over here. There's a tank destroyer. And I don't remember if I already got shot at or, like, one, I think I already got shot at. And I noticed I already got shot at. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pull back and not get shot in my side because my side armor is, like, completely trash. Like, it's 80 millimeters thick, which is not very good. Oh, wait, there's some parts that's 60 millimeters. Huh, at the front part, it's 60. That's kind of cool. So, yeah. Not a tank you want to get shot in the side or the rear, because this tank has, like, also terrible rear armor, which is 50 millimeters of rear armor, which is just worse than the side armor. So, also, I ran that Chieftain Marches 6 to death. So this thing actually has really good ramming potential because of how the ramming mechanics work. It goes off by speed and the armor impacted. So I noticed that tank destroyer, the 263, is getting swarmed by my entire team, and now the artillery and the heavy tanker, the Object 430U, is over here. We have like 32 seconds left on the cap circle, and I wanted to run over here and try to get those 2 kills before we cap out. Because there's a 48 Ram Panzer on the base that will not get off, which is kind of irritating. Like, there's 10 of us, and there's 3 of them. We're gonna win, but you're capping. Luckily, the 430U got a reset off, so now we are able to kill this tank. Now, watch the accuracy of this tank a little right here. And I'm just gonna snapshot this 430U, and boop, dead. Just dead. The accuracy is decent. It's .32 with an aim time of 2.5 seconds. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Like, I didn't really bounce that much. The most I did was that one game, 1,000. This game, I didn't block anything. But I did 4,800 damage. So if you like this video, remember, like, comment, subscribe. Also remember to SLAPAFISH because we're watching it. And peace out. See ya.